Dear friends, in this week's Torah portion, Parashat Emor, we read what appears to be the repetition of a previously stated command concerning the kindling of the eternal light, the menorah to be placed outside the curtain covering the Ark of the Covenant in the Israelites' portable sanctuary. Command the Israelite people to bring you clear oil of beaten olives for lighting, for kindling lamps regularly, the Torah says. Aaron shall set them up in the tent of meeting outside the curtain of the pact to burn from evening to morning. It is a law for all time throughout the ages. These verses from Leviticus 24 are almost identical to others in Exodus 27. Back in Exodus, Moses had received the instruction concerning the portable sanctuary and all its furnishings, including the menorah, and with it the command to collect from the Israelites all the supplies necessary for their construction. And so the tabernacle was built. But now some time has passed, and God commands Moses once again regarding the oil required for the lighting of the menorah. The commentator Nachmanides wonders why the repetition was necessary. And he answers that God's first utterance of the instruction came at the start of the Israelites' capital campaign, when no supplies had yet been contributed for their portable temple, and consequently the Israelite chieftains then brought oil as their donation for the kindling of the tabernacle's Ner Tamid. But by now, Nachmanides goes on, at the time God speaks in Leviticus, the oil which the princes had brought as a donation back then was used up, and therefore God commanded that the children of Israel take from the public treasury the necessary funds to secure the oil. To many, this may seem an inconsequential bit of commentary. But to those on the temple's finance committee, either the ancient temples or this one's, it is not inconsequential at all. And the reason I selected these verses and Nachmanides' insight on them for tonight is because they reflect so well the vision and faith of the man we are honoring. While our president, Harris Diamond, has certainly been a booster of our efforts to raise through new contributions the resources we need, and under his presidency, our annual fund for Emanu-El has achieved great new success. He's also always had confidence that if the funds didn't precede the vision, they would certainly follow it. That we should consider the needs of our community and the wider Jewish world first, knowing that our congregation would rise to the challenge and support those needs. And he's always been right, placing great faith in our membership as he has in his fellow trustees. Harris's term as president encompassed years of extraordinary and unprecedented challenge, globally, and certainly in the Jewish community. And he saw each test not as a reason to step back and retrench, but rather as a moment to assert our leadership because the community needed us all the more. During COVID, when finances were a bit uncertain and other leaders might have urged caution, Harris recognized the opportunity we had to be present not just for our members, but for the wider Jewish world in ways we had never been before. And with his optimism and the hard work of our extraordinary staff, we produced online offerings that many of our members described at that dark time as life-saving. Doing so required a willingness to dip into our coffers, but he knew it was a worthy investment. And then, of course, after October 7th, the Jewish community needed us as a source of comfort and strength, and the wider community needed to witness our determination. And again, he led the Board of Trustees to invest in our efforts, knowing the importance of the moment, and also knowing that our leadership would inspire giving, which it surely has. Our temple finances, even with the ups and downs of the current market, remain solid thanks to our members' generosity and the stewardship of our finance and investment committees. But it was Harris's optimism and faith that allowed for our temple to assume a mantle of leadership that other temple presidents might have approached with hesitancy. And this positivity, this let's try it because we know it's the right thing to do hopefulness, has defined Harris's leadership from the get-go. If Harris's predecessor, John Stryker of blessed memory, helped the temple navigate the transition from our historic past to our exciting present, Harris has helped us envision the future. It was John who tapped Harris to succeed him. John had an intuitive sense of who in our leadership might best answer each of the temple's needs. And so one night, John invited me and Harris for drinks at the University Club. I had not met Harris before, though I certainly knew of him and his leadership of McCann World Group as its renowned chairman and CEO. And John wanted to see how Harris and I would get along. John understood that a close relationship between the senior rabbi and the temple president was essential. And in the 9 years since, Harris and I have, of course, become good friends, the last 7 speaking constantly. No big idea ever advanced until I checked in with him or he with me. Whenever I have felt down about one thing or another, a call to him always and without fail reassured me. He has stood behind me, beside me, and when necessary, in front of me. Truly, I consider myself so fortunate to have spent these years in partnership with him and to have come to know his wonderful, talented, devoted, and endlessly patient wife, Amy, his sister, Leslie, his mother, Florence, the proud matriarch of the family, his daughter, Allie, my fellow Princetonian, now finishing medical school, working at St. Joseph's Hospital. And it has been my joy to marry his daughter, Sam, to her husband, Andrew, and name their son, Aaron, and name Michael and Emma's children, James and Grace. And Andrew and Sam just had their second child, Liam, making Harris and Amy grandparents 4 times over. And while I won't speak for Harris's fellow officers and trustees, one of them will do that, I do know their tremendous respect for him and gratitude to him, as I know his for them. He trusted them and empowered them, and as a result, Temple Emanu-El is blessed with an extraordinary cadre of leaders who will guide this temple forward for many years to come. I have served in synagogue life for more than 30 years, and I have never been so impressed with the Board of Trustees as I am with ours. And they will be led going forward by our new president, Greg Reckler, for years our vice president and past House Committee chair, whose involvement has been so important, whose vision is so clear-sighted, and whose generosity of spirit is boundless. But Harris, it has been a true honor. I only pray that you received back some portion of the fulfillment you made possible for the rest of us. The Jewish community needs your continued leadership, and I know you'll find new ways to share it. May God bless you and all those you love with health and happiness. And now it is my pleasure to call upon our Vice President, David Hennis.
Thank you, Rabbi Davidson. It's always a tough act to follow the rabbi when you have to stand at the bima and talk about anything, let alone Harris, with whom he has an exceptionally close relationship. Good evening, congregants, our clergy, Harris, his family, his wife Amy, his mother Florence, his children and grandchildren. It's an honor to have you here tonight, and it's an honor to be speaking about you, Harris. When Rabbi Davidson asked me to speak on behalf of the trustees and the officers, it was very easy to say yes. I am proud and honored to have served as a trustee with you and as an officer underneath you, and observed firsthand your dedication and your leadership to our congregation, your judgment, and your leadership in action. It has truly been a privilege to work alongside you. I can say that from the bottom of my heart. It was also easy to say yes to come and speak about you because Rabbi Davidson told me that this was going to be a roast, but I guess that's going to have to be a different speech at a different time. But as Harris steps down from the presidency after 7 years, it is an understatement to say that he's had a profound influence on our temple community during that period. In taking the job, as Rabbi Davidson mentioned, Harris was winding down as the chairman and CEO of McCann, a publicly traded advertising agency. Harris could have taken up golf. He could have taken up crochet or cricket. And looking back in hindsight, I feel fairly certain there are many times that he wishes that he did. Okay. In fact, it was no certainty that Harris would take the job when they had that dinner with John Stryker and Rabbi Davidson. And I know, based on my interviews in preparation for this evening, that he hesitated before accepting. But as with all prudent decisions, it was actually his mother who convinced him to take the job. And I don't know if you know this, Florence, but you may not have convinced him to take the job directly, but it was his fear of disappointing you that convinced him to take the job. And as I've heard in the retelling, Harris at the time said, I wasn't sure that I wanted to do this job, but then I thought that if I told my mother that I turned down the presidency of Temple Emanu-El, she certainly would have killed me. So we have you to thank for that, Florence. And Harris, no doubt it was your deep sense of duty that you drew upon to accept the job, and we are all the better for it. So to put it mildly, this is not a figurehead job, the job that Harris served in. It is just the opposite. It is a demanding job. And having wrapped up a demanding and distinguished professional career, Harris, and we were fortunate that you chose to dedicate your talent and your energy and your time to our community. And it is a testament to your deep commitment to Temple Emanu-El and its congregation, who are here tonight to celebrate you. Your leadership has resulted in remarkable and tangible accomplishments for our temple. And I feel certain in saying that when you took the job, you didn't anticipate all of the things that you were going to have to deal with. And Rabbi Davidson touched on some of them, so I'm going to touch on them as well. Some of the achievements that you've orchestrated over the past 7 years are truly remarkable. You've worked in great partnership with Rabbi Davidson. You've built an exceptional clergy team, and you've built an exceptional staff. That is first and foremost what you have accomplished. But as importantly, you led the congregation through COVID with calm determination. We implemented things like online billing and e-ticketing systems, guided the staff through closures, and ensured the live streaming capabilities that kept us all connected when we couldn't be here physically, as Rabbi Davidson mentioned. But that wasn't your only crisis. You had two crises, unfortunately. COVID was followed by October 7, the effects of which we are still feeling today. And under your guidance, our congregation has been a leader in rallying and supporting the Jewish community, both in our congregation and in New York City as a whole. And for that, you should be very proud, and we are very proud of you. You've led the transformation of our temple, bringing it into the modern age. You've made it digital. We have a social media presence. You hired our first social media coordinator right in your wheelhouse, and you brought us into the digital age. Under your leadership and working with the exceptional Gadi Levy, our Stryker Center director, the Stryker Center has become something that none of us could have envisioned when it first began. Maybe you could have, but I don't know that the rest of us and John Stryker could have. In addition to the renowned speaker program, we have a hub program for young Jews. We have Shabbat services with 1,000 attendees. We have sold out Shabbat dinners, and we have a successful Hebrew school program for young professionals. You championed the Yesod program, which has attracted 200 adults interested in learning more about Judaism through an intensive curriculum taught by an array of rabbis and teachers. You've enhanced our security, our infrastructure, and our security program, ensuring that we feel comfortable and safe in being here all the times that we are. And as Rabbi Davidson mentioned, you've championed our development efforts, which have led to increased giving into support of all of our important programs. And we've grown our clergy team to serve our congregation's needs as our membership has grown during your tenure. Adding Rabbi Dubin will be joining us very shortly, if not, hasn't done so already. So welcome, Rabbi Dubin. These are only some of your accomplishments, and I couldn't possibly list them all in the 7 years in the time I've been allotted. But most importantly, from having witnessed it, you lead by example, Harris. You lead countless committee meetings, Stryker Center meetings and programs, and other membership events. You may deny it now, but you are going to miss being in the middle of the action. I know it, okay? I know it. I've heard you last night, and you sounded like you were ready to go. You're going to miss it. I promise you that. And just so everybody gets some appreciation, Harris and I were on the phone at 11 p.m. on Wednesday night, okay, the day before his last day, and I wasn't even billing him for that, okay? So let's just tell you how important that was to Harris. But your leadership is always supportive and not supervisory. The clergy looks to you for guidance. You have the deep admiration of the lay leaders and the staff, and you consistently demonstrate a desire to do better and to do more for our community. As we thank you for your service as our president, we know that while you may be stepping down in this role, you have left us in a much better place, and for that we thank you. In the words of Deuteronomy, be strong and of good courage. Harris, you've led us with dignity, integrity, strength, and humility. You've led with judgment, you've led with compassion, and for that, we are eternally grateful. May the next chapter in your life be filled with joy, health, and fulfillment. May you continue to lead other civic organizations to which you've always devoted your energy and which reflect the best of our values of Tikkun Olam here at the congregation. You've demonstrated that leadership, and your leadership in particular, extends beyond any single institution. You have enriched our broader community. So, on behalf of the entire Temple Emanu-El community, past, present, and future, and on behalf of your fellow trustees and officers, we thank you, Harris, for your extraordinary leadership and dedicated service. We truly do. And personally, as someone who served alongside you the last 3, 4, 5 years, I want to add my deep personal gratitude. It's been a great privilege to watch your leadership in action and to watch it up close, to learn from you, to see the thoughtfulness behind your decision-making, your consensus building, the genuine care you bring to every interaction, and the tireless dedication that you've shown to our congregation. I am both proud and deeply honored to have been your colleague in service to our congregation. Mazel tov on your retirement, Harris. And now I'll ask Rabbi Davidson to come up and present this Kiddush cup to you that we have. Oh, wait, that was last night. This, Harris, is your portrait that will hang in our boardroom alongside the other luminaries who've served before you as our president.
I'm going to invite Harris and his family just to come stand here in front of the sanctuary. Michael. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of our mothers and our fathers. We ask your blessing upon Harris Diamond and his beautiful family. May he know the depth of our gratitude to him for these years of extraordinary, devoted leadership. May the sacred responsibilities he has carried with such grace upon his shoulders, which I know have at times weighed upon him, nonetheless always be a source of uplift for him. May he find new ways to continue to lead our Jewish community. And may the years ahead be years of great joy. May his mother and his sister continue to excel at his every accomplishment. May his life with Amy beside him always be a delight, surrounded by their children and their grandchildren. May they know happiness, health, fulfillment, and peace. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and watch over you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the light of God's face shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God lift his face toward you and bless you always with peace. Amen.
You know, John told me that one of the most embarrassing moments was the unveiling of the portrait. I wasn't smart enough as president to say, let's switch that to the annual meeting last night. The only thing I can actually really relish is knowing that Josh, in another 15 to 20 years, I plan to be here when they do the exact same thing to you, and really look forward to that moment to see that portrait go up next and near mine. And David, I'm not sure I heard much after you said you weren't billing us, but I do want you to know on behalf of the trustees congregation, we truly appreciate that. David has been a great partner, a great friend, and a great trustee. His judgment has been invaluable in so many places for us. But let me start by saying that standing here tonight in the sanctuary, that means so much to me, to generations of our members. I obviously feel a deep sense of gratitude and humility. Serving as president of Temple Emanu-El has been one of the greatest honors of my life. It's never been lost on me that this role is not simply a leadership position. It is a sacred trust. And for the past 7 years, I've had the privilege of stewarding this extraordinary congregation alongside the most dedicated and passionate group of clergy, trustees, professional staff, and members any synagogue could ask for. And I do mean extraordinary. Our clergy under Rabbi Davidson, it is so special. His bold, his compassionate, his visionary leadership, what it has resulted in is just an amazing moment in time for us as a congregation and for us as an important part of New York City and worldwide Jewry. I'd like you all to join me in thanking Rabbi Davidson for his leadership in all these years. And last night, there were a lot of thank yous at our annual meeting. I'll try to make them a little less tonight, but I do have to say our Board of Trustees brings remarkable wisdom, care, and a sense of responsibility to everything they do in service of our temple. And if you had seen them last night talking about what we have to do in the future, you would have been so proud. But our administrative team and staff, from educators to program directors to security to maintenance, each plays such an important and critical role in the day-to-day life of our community and ensure that our temple functions with excellence. They are truly the beating heart of this sanctuary, and I want to thank them for the years that I have worked with them. And then there is you, our members. Everything we've accomplished during my presidency has only been possible because of your support, your generosity, and your deep love for what Temple Emanu-El is and your belief in what it can be. And the good news is what we have always been since our founding is a bold Reformed synagogue where we like to say warmth and majesty meet. Clearly, our predecessors liked the majesty part, but the warmth was equally, I think, important to them. It lives in our daily practice, in the beauty of this place and the openness of our community, in the awe of tradition and the courage to meet the moment. Together, we navigated the COVID pandemic with care and creativity, and we lost people. We lost so many. And our clergy was there for each and every one. And Rabbi Ehrlich, Rabbi Dubin, Cantor Klatzman, Rabbi Sepedin, and of course, Rabbi Davidson. To have witnessed what you did during COVID was much, much more important than anything any of the rest of us did. And that is truly something I will always remember. But we did other things during that time. We also programmed our Yom Kippur and Hanukkah services in Central Park to make sure we had adequate distance from each other. But in a funny way, the almost 1,000 people that showed up, we had no distance. We had Purim at the Rockefeller Center ice rink. Since that day, we've grown our community, welcomed new members, launched successful introductory memberships for young professionals and families, and expanded our worship and educational offerings with initiatives like the Friday Night Hub, you saw at Emanu-El Downtown, and the Center for Interfaith Dialogue. Every day we see the results of this work. At a time when so many congregations are shrinking, we are growing, especially with families and young professionals. And we've seen renewed interest in our nursery and religious schools. In fact, for those of you who are thinking about nursery school for next year, get those applications in. Actually, for the year after, because for next year we're full already. Our gather groups, young families, young members initiatives, and our online community are thriving. And yet, with all of this, at this moment in Jewish history, as we all know, it is not an easy one. We are still facing rising anti-Semitism. We are grappling with a time of pain and uncertainty. Our children of all ages are facing ignorance and bigotry in their schools. Some of this was true before October 7th, but since then we have had to confront its ugliness on a daily basis. I still recall immediately after the attack on Israel how we hosted an interfaith vigil on the steps of our sanctuary with nearly 1,000 people. We organized Zoom calls and support meetings for our college students. In fact, we live-streamed an innovative 2-night program on campus anti-Semitism for college students and their parents. Approximately 10,000 people attended that. That's how much we were hurt, and that's how much people were looking to Rabbi Davidson and our team of clergy and our other providers to help navigate that moment. Our philanthropic fund raised critical support for Israeli communities. We organized a temple mission to Israel. We continue to offer numerous educational cultural programs during this time on Israel, anti-Semitism, through the Stryker Center, our community groups, and our religious school. Tens of thousands of people have attended these programs in person, online. But much more important than the numbers has been our impact. This is a congregation that I can tell you makes a difference, not just in the lives of our members and in the life of New York City, but in the life of the Jewish people. In this time of deep uncertainty for the global Jewish community, I'm so proud to say that Temple Emanu-El has been a sanctuary, not only in name, but in purpose. We have stood tall. We have not been afraid to speak out, to reach out, to lift up. As Rabbi Davidson and the rest of the clergy know, I always refrain, for really good and obvious reasons that my children can tell you, from ever commenting on the Torah or on anything that they think is of substance in life. It's clearly not the area of my expertise. But knowing I'd be standing here on the bima tonight, I asked about this week's Torah portion, Parshat Emor. It outlines the lives of the Jewish calendar, Shabbat, the festivals, and these words stood out from Leviticus chapter 23. They stood out to me. These are my set times, that you shall proclaim them as sacred occasions. There's something powerful in that simple phrase, that you shall proclaim. Jewish tradition teaches us that holiness doesn't just happen. We create it. We fight for it. Together, with our gathering, with our intention, with the way we build and sustain community. We, not God alone, are given the task to proclaim what is sacred. And in my mind, and in so many of our members, that is to help repair the world, Tikkun Olam. And that, I believe, is what Temple Emanu-El has always strived to do. We proclaim what is sacred with prayer, with education, with service, with fellowship, and with a commitment to justice. As I step down from my role as president and pass the baton to Greg Lecker, I do so filled with pride in what we've accomplished and where we're going. As Rabbi Davidson has said, this temple is in such good hands. It's with bottom of my heart, I thank you for your partnership, your trust, and for allowing me the honor of serving as your president these past 7 years. It has truly, as I said last night, been the privilege of a lifetime. Shabbat Shalom.